Tanya Tucker takes those inalienable rights very seriously. She lives life all out, does it on her own terms, and she's relentless in her pursuit of happiness and anything else she wants. Born in Texas and raised dirt poor, her friends call her the Texas Tornado. And to meet her and get to know her, you understand why. This enduring country music star can blow you away with her explosive humor, energetic charm, and enormous talents.
Sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday, and other times it feels like it was centuries ago.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on?
You're always trying to reinvent yourself, renew yourself.
Could it be a faded rose from days gone by?
There you go, love. Thank you very much.
And did I hear you say he was meeting you here today?
Hi, this is Tanya Tucker, and you've always got the best in country on WDXE Country.
To take you to his mansion in the sky.
So, Tanya, how many rooms are there in this house?
You know, I haven't even counted them. I really haven't. I sometimes walk around in just kind of an amazement, thinking, my, what little country music can do.
Could you go back to trailer park living?
No, I don't think I could. I mean, I wasn't very fond of it when I was there.
Tanya Tucker is a long way from the trailer parks where she spent her childhood. At age 38, she's a country music icon. This week, releasing her 30th album and publishing her autobiography. From wild child to working mother, from drugs to domestic violence to depression, an unflinching account of a life hard lived. The title's Nickel Dreams, but darling, this ain't no nickel dream you're living here.
No, inflation.
Did you ever dream it would turn out like this?
Yes, I always had big dreams.
Even silent, these home movies say it all. Tanya, at age 8, loved the spotlight. What do you see when you look back at yourself in those movies?
A little girl full of life, full of wanting to please my dad and my mother, and most of my dad, because he was my teacher. You know, sing it again. Sing it now with feeling now. Put some feeling in it.
And he was the one shooting the movies.
Yeah. He said, put it on me like Woodbury soap won't wash it off. That's what he always used to tell me.
I saw Tanya had talent when she's real small.
Bo Tucker generally doesn't talk to the media, but the man who's been his daughter's coach, critic, and silent partner all these years made an exception for us.
She walked over and asked me if I'd listen to her sing. I'd done it forever. She convinced me in 2 songs.
She started out singing at school and small-town talent contests. But Bo Tucker was thinking big time. So in 1971, he moved the whole family to Las Vegas, where he hoped Tanya would get her big break. The Tucker family didn't have a lot of money back then.
Never did have it.
You put a lot on the line. A lot of financial risk for this family.
I was kind of a born gambler in a way.
And I asked my mother years later, I said, why would you follow this crazy man chasing a dream with a 9-year-old girl? And she said, well, honey, he believed in you and I believe in him.
The move to Las Vegas paid off. In 1972, Tanya signed her first record deal. And a few months later, flew to Nashville to record Delta Dawn. You're 13 years old. You walk into a recording studio.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes out of your mouth, young lady?
I know my part.
How about you, boys? Where does a 13-year-old come off with that kind of presence, that kind of take control, take charge, here I am?
I think it was really because when you're young like that, you're not afraid. Nothing can scare you.
And just turned 15 this past week is Tanya Tucker.
If anything, I'd be more afraid now than I was then.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower?
Delta Dawn was a huge hit, and 3 more followed that year. MCA Records saw a 15-year-old firecracker about to go off and snatched her up with a new $1.5 million contract. But despite a string of solid country hits, Tanya, growing up, decided to step off the country road and jump on the rock and roll superhighway. You moved to Los Angeles, and this is where you land.
Yeah.
What in the world were you thinking?
Oh, I wasn't really thinking of anything. I mean, the photographer, I think, was thinking other things.
I mean, this was a radical departure for Tanya
It was
Tucker.
radical, but, at the same time, it kind of blew a lot of doors down,
Your manager at the time took
Yeah.
out an ad in Hustler magazine. Do you remember what it said?
Yes. The sound is so good it'll make your ears hard, I think was what it was.
And what'd your dad think of this?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
I like to throw a fit. See, that's when she started listening to somebody else. And I like to lost it.
His little girl was 20 years old and on her own in Hollywood. About that time in your life, you write, "I love to party, to drink, to tell jokes. I love to raise hell."
Yeah. There was always a party, and there was always someone that wanted me to be there.
Were there demons inside, or was it just a love of fun?
No. Just like people like getting screwed up and having a good time.
You know, when the good old boys of country music go out and drink and have a good time, it adds to the aura.
Exactly.
When a gal does it,
doesn't look so good.
and Tanya, the wild child, was about to meet her match. Detroit, 1980, the Republican National Convention.
The chair recognizes Glenn Campbell and Tanya Tucker for the singing of our national anthem. Can you see by the dawn's light?
The all-American couple.
Yeah, I guess we looked like the all-American couple. I'm not sure that we were, but I'm pretty sure we weren't.
She was 22, he was 44, a superstar, and as Tanya recalls, an uninhibited superstar. The first night you partied with him, in the book you recall thinking, "Man, I ain't believing this. There's the rhinestone cowboy, naked as a jaybird, and walking around in his tennis shoes."
It was funny. It was funny. I mean, he's got a pretty great, nice-looking body for a 44-year-old at that time.
And the rhinestone cowboy made a lasting impression.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, we've been tipping the elbow a little bit, you know.
Soon, Glenn Campbell and Tanya Tucker became the tabloid's favorite couple. And Tanya says they worked great together. He sang on one of her albums. They did shows together. Even planned to be married.
I really, truly loved him, for sure. I mean, I think he loved me. I don't think there was any doubt about the love.
But all the while, alcohol, complemented by cocaine, was taking a toll. Until now, Tanya has never spoken for the record about the relationship and the drug habit they shared.
Glenn was really he was already there. He was really into it. So, and I wasn't. So I was trying to help him out of it, and then trying to
Wound up joining him.
and instead of getting him out of it, here we both dive into it, you know.
But Campbell says dating Tanya to escape cocaine was like jumping into a lake to avoid getting wet. And with drugs came violence. How abusive was the relationship?
It was really very abusive. It just kind of catapulted, you know. It just kept going up and up. And I was the kind of person that, if he slapped me, I'd slap him back, you know. So, and sometimes I'd be the one slapping first, you know, if he said something to me. Mm-hmm. So the drugs and the alcohol just made it even worse.
He has said on the record and on television that he never hit you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Not true?
He must have, oh no, that's definitely not true. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have false teeth.
He knocked your teeth out?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He meant to do it?
Well, of course. I mean, I would think so, yeah. We were not in the middle of a big confrontation.
It was a relationship that was completely out of control.
Exactly. But I was too young to know that.
The relationship lasted less than 2 years. By 1982, Tanya was on her own again, partying as hard as ever and burying the pain. Tucker tough. What's that mean?
Well, that sounds like a new brand of truck or something.
If you're hurting, buck it up and don't show it.
Yeah, you got it. Nobody's interested. You know, my dad says that people come to see you to get away from their pain, not to see some more of it.
Being Tucker tough usually got her through the hard times. But Tanya was remarkably candid in our interview about the times when Tucker tough just wasn't enough.
88 was when I went into Betty Ford.
You spent 6 weeks at Camp Betty.
Hard times. Yeah.
She'd been touring at the pace of 220 nights a year and was a regular after hours at places like New York Studio 54. She admits today she might have needed some help, but doesn't give the Betty Ford Clinic much credit for solving her problems.
They couldn't get inside of me. You know, I just wasn't spitting it out like everybody else was because I didn't trust anybody. Who's to say I'm going to say something to these people in therapy and then they go out and spit it out to the Inquirer?
Are you an alcoholic?
No. I don't believe I am. I do not believe I'm an alcoholic, no.
Why'd you go?
My dad wanted me to. My mother and my dad really wanted me to go. They felt like I really needed help. And for whatever, I mean, maybe I did.
During the wild years, Did you worry that you'd lose her?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Worried night and day. 24 hours a day I worried. 24 hours, not 23.
Just hours after checking out of the Betty Ford Clinic, she defied her counselors and jumped right back into the music scene, performing live as the opening act for the Academy of Country Music Awards.
I wasn't going to let them dictate my life anymore. I mean, let's say you got your 6 weeks, now you're done.
She was determined to manage her own life and make her own choices. She wanted children and had two as a single woman. She also wanted to keep her career in high gear, returning to the road just 3 weeks after her daughter Presley was born. By 1993, it all proved too much. You were depressed?
Oh, it was just...
Clinically depressed.
I couldn't even get out of bed. The first panic attack I had, I looked down at Presley. She was sleeping beside me. She was just so long. She looked so big. And for some reason, that just started me off.
Thinking that she was growing up too fast?
I guess it just missing that. Oh, she's grown in 2 inches, and I wasn't even here. I just broke out in a rash, and I couldn't stop my heart. So I immediately figured I needed to get some help. And that was something that was not a word you say in my house or around my dad was a second. You know, that was just not a word. We don't go to those people.
You were Tucker tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Just buck it up and get through it.
Exactly. Suck it up and go on. But this is something I couldn't do that with anymore.
A combination of therapy and medication brought her back from the edge. But she says she's still taking it one day at a time. She's still a working mom, but determined to spend less time on the road and more time with her kids. She's the first to admit it's not easy to change an image. Putting her life story to paper is part of redefining herself, becoming the person she wants to be. And now, she says, she knows what's really important.
And they're not the house, they're not the awards on the wall, they're not any of the things that you strive so hard and long to get. It's things you already have.
Where does it go from here?
Well, it goes either or. It could go either way. And I say it's going to be or.
In next week's edition of People magazine, Tanya Tucker says if she ever does get married, it's going to take someone very special because she has, quote, a lot of baggage. By the way, a spokesperson for Glenn Campbell told